Do you ever wonder why asking for help feels like pulling teeth? Well, you are not alone, my friend. It is a struggle that many of us face, but shifting our mindset and seeing things in a slightly different perspective can open the doors for support, which I share more about in this episode. After leaving the corporate 9-to-5 grind, I became the boss of my own spiritual business, helping others explore and navigate the human experience from insight, wisdom, and lessons learned along the way. Today, I help aspiring spiritual entrepreneurs gain the confidence to share their gifts with the world. Welcome to the Happy Healing Shop podcast. I'm your host, Trang Pham Nguyen, and each week we'll dive into incredible stories of strength, resilience, and transformation. So, if you are ready for some serious breakthroughs, laughs and tears, and stories that will inspire you, you are in the right place, my friend. Let's get started. Hey, welcome back to another episode at the Happy Healing Shop podcast. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to check out our Facebook spiritual community called Happy Healers. It is a group of amazing, kind, supportive, uplifting people who talk about anything spiritual and also sharing about tough things in life and finding support while you are navigating that. In addition, we offer free resources at our website, thehappyhealingshop.com/blog, and I'll link all those down below in the show notes. Okay, so today I want to talk about why we have a hard time asking for help. And the thing is, I've been noticing this amongst many people in my community. I also attend online events and see this common theme come up where I was at an event and someone said this, and I also had another friend that shared the same sentiment of, I'm okay asking for help if it's offered to me, but I don't like asking for help. I feel uncomfortable asking people for help. And I started thinking about why this happens. Like, why do we have such a hard time asking for help, even though we have friends or we have family or we have colleagues that we know are likely to help us out? After speaking to a couple of people and saying, why do we have a hard time asking for help? What is it that makes it uncomfortable for us to ask in the first place? And people gave me some really good answers, like fear of rejection. This one lady told me how she was afraid of asking for help. And if a friend or someone says, hey, I can't help you, it's that feeling of being rejected, right? But another way you can look at it is they can't help us because they don't have the knowledge, or maybe they just don't have the time because they have a lot of things on their schedule. Or we might feel like we're being judged as if we're asking for help. Like, oh, why don't you have that figured out yourself? Why aren't you adulting? Don't you have that, feeling shamed or guilty of not being able to have our life together or our ducks in a row. But the thing is, everyone in this world is suffering one way or another. So many people feel alone because they think they have to do it themselves. Or pride, another reason people don't ask for help. And I wouldn't be surprised if I see this more in men because of the way, not because they're men, but because the way men are socialized to be strong, to know and lead the whole pack or the whole family or whatever. But also just like pride or independence, maybe feeling that asking for help is a sign of weakness, when in fact, asking for help takes a lot of courage to do. But a lot of people seeing asking for help as failure. And as a result, that makes them feel like they have to try to handle everything on their own, their life, their career, their relationship, their children, their family, so many other things you have to do to adult, and also the extra mental load on yourself. This next one I can relate to a lot, and it probably has to do a lot with my childhood. I know a friend that's like this, where we are very independent. I had another lady say that the same thing, where she's just so used to growing up taking care of things herself, especially if you're single or if you had to be the responsible kid when you were younger and take care of things. And my friend also said this, which you might be able to relate to, is I'd rather get it done myself because other people won't get it right. And by the time I fix it, I could have just done it myself. And it's hard because I can totally see this as a valid point. Because when you give someone a job to do and they mess it up, it just causes double the amount of trouble or headaches for you, right? So I think there is a lesson in life where there's certain things we have to learn to let go and say like, hey, you know what, I have to accept the fact that this can't be done perfectly and I can offhand it or delegate it to someone else. They might not do it super perfect, but this isn't one of those tasks or things in life, in the whole scheme of my life, that needs to be done perfectly. And so sometimes it's more of like, is perfectionism holding you back? Or even trying to have a sense of control, trying to feel in control of your life or in control of your situation. And if you've been operating like this, it's really hard to learn to release or let go. And it's really hard to be able to evaluate and sit down, be really honest with yourself and say, what can you release and what can you let go of? Sometimes asking people for help makes you feel really vulnerable because you're exposing why you need help. It exposes that you're struggling, or that maybe sometimes people feel unworthy to be able to receive and get help from someone else. And if this is you, I want to ask you, what in your past has made you feel that way? Because if you think about it, a baby is not born thinking that. So there must have been something in your past or childhood or teenager growing up that made you perceive this or made you look at life this way. Another reason why people don't want to ask for help is not wanting to come off as a burden. And this is one of those things where, I get it, when you're going through a tough time, it's usually something that's really heavy, right? And you don't want to dump or feel like you're dumping that burden onto someone else and weighing them down. So you kind of keep it to yourself and you say, it's okay, I can figure it out myself, or I've been through this before, so I'll just feel really bogged down for a moment and just push through it. So I'm going to flip it a little bit. And sometimes when we don't ask for help and we have all these thoughts going on in our mind, we don't think about how our friends or other people perceive it. We think what they might perceive it as, but it can be completely wrong. So here's an example. I once attended an event and there was a single mom saying how she was struggling trying to take care of her child. The father only takes them maybe on weekends or every other weekend, right? And so she was struggling so much trying to work full time while trying to take care of the kid. The kid was giving her problems. It was just really tough. She didn't consider about asking for help, but I shared my perspective with her from an outsider, saying that when I see a single parent, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to really be there for them if they're like my friend. What my initial thought from an outsider is, oh, maybe like she wants to spend time with her son, or maybe she wants to spend time with her kid, or there's a certain routine that they need to have. So I don't want to step in and come on over and stay when it's going to throw off the routine, or I don't know what schedule works best for her, whether it's hanging out or what she needs, right? But it's interesting because she was showing from her perspective that she just felt so alone and didn't know what to do. But I told her how, as a friend, like people want to help, whether it's time away or even grabbing dinner for them, just anything. And then she said, well, maybe with friends that are single parents, maybe you can offer the help first. So it brings me back to my initial part of this podcast episode of how people feel more okay if people offer them help versus them initiating and asking for help. But from an outside perspective, as much as I hate saying this, but people cannot read your mind. We wish they could, and sometimes we have that one or two friends that are very intuitive, or they can kind of figure it out before we do and say like, hey, it looks like you need help with this. Can I help you with XYZ? Majority of the world, and let's be honest, we don't know what it's like to be in your shoes. We don't know what help you exactly need. And a good example is when someone in your family dies and you're trying to do the funeral, or like there's so many things and people don't know what to do. And so a lot of times people don't say anything because they don't want to trigger someone, or whereas on the other side, I know how lonely it feels like to try to figure out all alone. And sometimes you don't even know the help that you need. If you look at it, sometimes people need direction. They need just a little hint, or saying like, hey, I need someone I can talk to. Are you free this week or next week for an hour? Or, hey, I'm really struggling right now. Do you think like you can help me out with dinner, picking up dinner and come, hang out with me? I used to think in a lot of these ways of asking for help and not wanting to ask for help because I'm just so used to figuring out problems by myself. But it was very eye-opening when I was on the outside and hearing how someone else was struggling. But from my perspective, I had no idea on how I or other people could help them. So that's just something to think about in terms of when you hesitate on asking for help. And the thing is, it doesn't hurt to share with someone, right? So if you're saying I'm struggling, or do you know someone that can help me with XYZ, or can you help me with XYZ? Maybe that friend can't help you, but you never know the resources or the people they know that are able to help you. You know, maybe they say, hey, I know this person XYZ, they went through similar things. Let me connect you, or let me ask what he or she did that worked for them. Just remember that when we block help, we block blessings that can happen. I hope this episode gives you a new and refreshing take on this topic of asking for help. And remember that you're not alone. People are waiting to help you. They just need a hint or obvious instructions. Now, I had a client who was going to go through surgery, and post-surgery, she was going to need some help, possibly. You know, because when you're trying to recover from surgery, you're weak, you can't cook, you're still, you know, your body's trying to recover. And I can relate to this, not in terms of surgery, but even when my mom passed away, I didn't know really who to ask for help for certain things. So looking back now, and this is something I told her that hopefully this might help you, but you have a pool of friends, colleagues, family members that, even if it's one or two people that are ready, more than happy to help you out. I think what I was afraid of was asking for help and giving, let's say, a task to someone that was not strong in that task, that was not fitted for that task. So imagine if you needed someone to help you do paperwork, but you got someone that was very disorganized. Obviously, you don't want them assigned to that task, right? Because most likely there's a high chance that they're going to mess it up and you're going to have to undo everything and redo it yourself. So what I suggested, especially if it's some event that is kind of blown up in your face, you can send a mass text, mass email with maybe just say a list of things you need to get done. So it could be paperwork, it could be picking up dinner. And sometimes people can't pick up dinner, but they're willing to send like an Uber Eats gift card or something, or a restaurant gift card, or mail you something, or even fixing a plumbing issue that I can't deal with right now because I'm dealing with this death in my family or whatever. Or someone that might be like good at cleaning or organizing, or someone that's free to talk to you and be there for you emotionally. And writing that in a list and saying, hey guys, this is what I'm going through. Here are ways that I need help. If you're able to, look at this list or whatever. And, you know, I would love to accept help in whatever ways you can. You never know when you have that friend that says, hey, I actually know some plumbing skills and I can fix that for you. I'll come over and swing by. Or people can kind of sign up and say like, hey, I'd be happy to help in, like, let's just hang out and talk for a bit. Or more of, hey, I'm really busy, I can't hang out, but I would love to send you some food over, or like Uber Eats some food, or pick up things, or have certain things delivered for you. Or maybe you might have a friend that can't help financially and they say, hey, I do have time though. I would love to help clean or tidy up your house so you can feel sane or you can feel okay and supported. So in a way, what's good about this is that it gives people an option to be able to help you out in ways that they know they can. So that is a tip that I wish I did in the past, but now I know better. So I hope this episode helps you see things in a different light on the topic of asking for help. Someone pointed out to me, sometimes asking for help, you feel a fear behind that because there might be that underlying feeling of strings being attached to it, or you have to repay them later. So hopefully you have friends or family or colleagues, where even strangers you know in your life, where you might feel safe around, knowing that they aren't the type of people or that type of character to do this to you. I hope today's episode helps you reframe and see things in a different aspect of the concept of asking for help. And if you're looking for more support, again, don't forget to check out our community and also our club membership, which I'll link down below in the show notes. And remember, when we block help we block blessings that can happen. Thanks so much for being here, and don't forget to shine your light and share your story, because you never know who it can help, give hope to, or inspire to create a change in their own world. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.